Welcome to Be Me with Shari Ware, the podcast where each day is a step towards a better you and where we focus on progress, not perfection. Join me as we embark on a journey of self-improvement and wellness, focusing on being just a little better than we were yesterday. Hello and welcome to episode 32 of the Be Me podcast. I'm Shari Ware, I'm your host, and in this episode we're talking about saying no without the guilt. Protect your energy, time and well-being. There are people in the world like me who have struggled to say no to things. I know it's definitely a recurring theme in my life, and it's a lesson that I've had to learn quite a few times. I'm still learning. I'm definitely getting better at it, but I'm still learning. There are also people in the world who have no problem saying no, and that is awesome. This episode may not be for you, but it's definitely for the ones like me that have struggled or do struggle with saying no. So, Stephen Covey, hopefully you've already heard of him. He is a very successful best-selling author. His book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, sold over 40 million copies worldwide. And he said that you have to decide what your highest priorities are and have the courage, pleasantly, smilingly, non-apologetically, to say no to other things. That quote really hit home for me when I found it. And I really liked the way that he phrased it as well. I felt that it really did give a really good perspective and a perspective. He phrased it in a way that it felt better to me. So hopefully that's the same for you. I'll make sure I put a link to that book in the show notes for you. So in this episode, we're going to cover off why is saying no important, how does saying no protect your energy, and how do you actually say no without feeling guilty. There is a way. It's okay. Hang in there. We'll get there. So first of all, why is saying no important? Sometimes we know this, even if it's deep down, maybe it's not on a conscious level. Sometimes we are conscious of it. And sometimes I guess we just don't think it's important or we dismiss it. But when we're saying yes to everything for everybody else, we're saying no to things for ourselves. As human beings, we are amazing. Human beings are absolutely amazing, and we can do anything, but we physically can't do everything. It's just not possible. So automatically, whenever you're saying yes to something, you're automatically saying no to something else. And when you're saying yes to everything for everybody else, then that means that you're saying no to things for yourselves. And that's actually not healthy. It's not good. When you say yes to lots of things and you overcommit yourself, it leads to burnout, it leads to stress. It actually reduces your productivity levels, and it's not good for your health. It actually impacts on your health and well-being. So how does saying no protect your energy? When you say no to tasks or obligations or events that aren't your priority, they're other people's, you actually safeguard your mental and physical energy. And you do that by the following ways. It preserves your time. When you are saying no, it ensures that you have time for the things that matter the most to you, whether that's your family, whether that's resting, whether that's taking care of your health, whether that's your hobbies. It doesn't matter what it is, but it means that you have time for that, which is really important. It reduces your stress. When you overcommit yourself, when you keep saying yes to everybody else, it actually becomes really overwhelming, and it increases your stress levels. So when when you learn to say no, it actually is going to help to reduce your stress. It will Fewer commitments lead to less mental clutter. If you've got, I don't know about you, but sometimes when I get overwhelmed, I just can't think clearly. I really can't think clearly. And so when you take yourself out of the overwhelm, when you say no and you reduce the commitments that you have, it actually allows you to think more clearly and make better decisions. Now, this is a tough one. And when I actually thought about this, it was kind of like a kick in the guts. But, sometimes you've got to be cruel to be kind. And it was good because it really made it hit home to me exactly what I was doing by saying yes to everybody else. And when you say no, it actually increases your self-respect. Um, because when you say no to things that drain your energy, it shows that you respect yourself and your time. Now that might be something that maybe you haven't thought of, that when you're saying yes to everything, you might not even think that it's got anything to do with self-respect. And I know that can kind of feel a bit rough, looking at it in that perspective, but to me that actually felt true when I thought about that. And I was like, okay. That one hurt, but yep, I take it on the chin, and let's do a bit better. So we know that it's important. We know why it's good to say no, but how do you do it without feeling guilty? It can feel hard. So here are some things that will hopefully help you. And practice makes progress. So just keep practicing. It's just like riding a bike. You're not going to be good at it the first time round necessarily. It might take you a few goes, but the more you do it, the better you get. So be polite but firm. You don't have to say it in a nasty, like a tone of voice, or not that we intend to be nasty, but sometimes when we're doing things that feel uncomfortable, it can just come out that way. I know myself, when I'm in an uncomfortable situation, sometimes I get this look on my face. I won't say what the normal term for that face, but I can feel it happen on my face. I have no control over it. I can feel it happening, and it's just a reaction to being in an uncomfortable situation, but other people can read that differently. So just a simple, polite statement like, look, I really wish that I could, but I actually can't. I can't do that right now, is fine. You could offer an alternative. So if it is something that you really would like to do, but you just can't do it at that particular point in time that they're suggesting, if it's appropriate, then you could say, hey, I can't help that today, but on the weekend I could definitely help you out with that, and I'd love to do that. Don't over-explain. You don't owe anybody a detailed explanation. And I know this is hard. Please know that these are things I struggle with too. So I know this is hard. I have to catch myself, especially with the over-explaining thing. You don't actually owe anybody an in-depth explanation of why you can't do it. Just keep it too short and to the point. I mean, at the end of the day, they just want to know, can you do it or can't you do it? So you don't need to explain. It's just not necessary. And last but not least, remember your priorities. Even if you feel guilty, just remember that when you are saying no, it means that you're saying yes to you. And that's not selfish. That's what we all should be doing. That's what is going to make a healthier us. When we do things for ourselves, that's what recharges us. That's what helps us to help other people when we really want to and when we can. And also on the flip side of the coin, remember that when you're saying no to things, it means that you then have the ability to say yes to other things, things that are going to impact your life in a positive way, rather than saying yes to a whole heap of stuff that's not going to impact you positively. It's going to impact somebody else positively, but not necessarily you, and actually could impact you negatively because you're doing those things, you're saying yes to those things, and you're not saying yes to things that will help you in your own life and your own well-being. So I know that that can feel hard, that saying no can feel hard, but it's definitely something that is in our own best interests. And I'm right there with you. Let's practice it together. So there is, for this episode, there is a corresponding Be Me Bites edition, Be Me Bites 30, Say No Without Guilt, How to Protect Your Time and Wellbeing. There will be resources in that edition that you won't find in the podcast, so I always put the link in the show notes for you to go and check those out, to go check that edition out and check out the resources. And generally there's things in the written edition that don't make it into the podcast because I don't script my podcast, so definitely go and check that out. If you subscribe to Be Me Bites, what it means when you're a subscriber is that every week I release it every Friday morning Australian time. When it gets released every Friday, you will actually get it straight to your inbox, so you won't have to go looking for it. It'll be there. You can choose to read it or not. It's up to you, of course, and you can say no. You can say no to reading Be Me Bites. There you go. Perfect example. But when you do subscribe, you get a free online copy of any one of my books of your choice. And when you subscribe, you get an email that tells you how to claim that. So that's my ethical bribe to get you to subscribe. And that's it for this episode. Until the next episode, keep taking one step at a time, and I'll see you then. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Remember to check out the show notes, and if you have any comments, feedback or suggestions, I'd love to hear them. If you've received value from this podcast, make sure to subscribe, and I'd love you to rate and review the show. Have a fabulous day.